saw a video.
All right, I'll call this meeting to order. Ms. Gore, will you call the roll?
Present.
Dr. Dion.
Present.
Mr. Benjamin.
Present.
Mr. Dunn.
Present.
Ms. Barr.
Present.
Thank you. I'll ask you all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'm going to ask Miss Debbie Kennedy to lead us in the pledge. And if you'll remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Hey, there are a couple of special recognitions tonight, and so I'll turn this over to our superintendent, Dr. Clark. Okay.
So first, we're going to do the Arlington High School flag football recognition. I'm very proud of this group of young ladies. I went to my first flag football game this year, and I got to see them play in their regular season. And then we were afforded the opportunity. They qualified for state, and they made it to the quarterfinals. I don't know if you all felt it, but Mr. Davis, Mr. Manthe, along with your coaches, Coach Jones, Coach Fox, Coach Mitchell, I hope you felt us. We were running with you as you were making those touchdowns on the sideline. We were so excited. I know I see a lot of the familiar faces from the parents when we were at Nashville, and it was very exciting. And I'm tremendously proud of you because this was a new program for Arlington Community Schools. It kind of happened at the last minute at the end of a year ago, and it was funded through our Legacy Grant. That's what our Legacy Grant is for, is funding in the startup of programs. And so it was funded through that program. Y'all, the first year you came out and you said Arlington Community Schools is here, because a lot of the teams in the for the state of Tennessee that does flag football, they're in the Nashville area, and they've been funded by the Tennessee Titans, is what I understand. Wow. So here we come from the west side of the state, and we showed up and showed out, and I'm very proud of these young ladies. Yeah. I'm going to ask Coach Fox and his coaching staff to come to the mic and recognize the young ladies, please.
I just want to take a second and say thank you to the board for funding us. Dr. Clark, I know you were instrumental in all this, and the board as well. It means a lot for us to be able to do this. The girls fought hard all year. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Which is weird because I've been coaching football here for 16 years. And never once have I been really emotional with the boys. So maybe they're just rubbing off on me. I'm not exactly sure. But it's okay. It's okay. I'd like to thank Mr. Davis and Mr. Manthe for trusting me to pick me to coach this team. I kind of knew what I was getting into, but I kind of didn't know what I was getting into. But I knew that I wanted to go through the process of doing it, and I couldn't have done it without my coaches, Tabitha Mitchell, who was my representative on all the things that I've never dealt with before with girls, and then Coach Jones. Coach Jones came in later and has been instrumental in helping our program be successful. So thank you both. I appreciate everything that you did. Our season started not good, but they hadn't really touched a football until January 16th. And the fact that they made the strides that they did, like I knew where I wanted to get them, and I knew the process that I wanted to go through. And I knew that we would struggle early, but I also knew if we could get where I wanted them to get, and I've told them about this several times, that we would be okay when it mattered. And we lost 3 in a row. 2 of those games we lost by 1 point. The very first game of the year at home, we had the ball going in to score, and we threw an interception for a touchdown. It was 12-12, and we wound up losing 19-12. So, like, we could have easily been 10-1 going into state. So we were very well, and we were good. So we just had some mistakes, and we had to get past. So I'm proud of what happened at state, and the girls, I kind of knew what we were getting into. Those teams up there have been playing for 5 or 6 years. I've got a buddy that's been coaching up there for a long time. Coach Jones has coached and helped those girls up there. So we knew what we were getting into, and we knew that we might be in a little trouble. So we really didn't know what to expect. But we went up there with the attitude, we're not playing anyone else. We're playing Arlington. And if we play Arlington football, we'll be fine. And they went up there. We won our first pool game, and then we ran into 2 buzzsaws in Green Hill and Ravenwood, who's been playing for 5 years, who were actually 2 of the 3 teams in the state semifinals. One of them was runner-up, and then actually one of them was state champion. And then we won our first bracket game, and we got beat by the runner-up in Stone Memorial, I think is who it was. But it was a great trip. The experience that our team got from that is going to be invaluable moving forward. I've only got 1 senior on our team.
All right.
We started a junior, a sophomore, and then 5 freshmen on offense. So we were young, and I am super excited about moving forward. I'm also excited about the prospect of girls flag football as a state sport. I do expect our district to kind of double next year. I know there are other schools that are going to have teams. So the landscape's going to change some, but I think it's going to be great for women's sports and just in general for the state. So without speaking anymore, because I've taken enough of your time, I just want to recognize the girls. If you guys want to stand up when I call your name, I would appreciate it. Number 2, Micaiah Adams. Number 3, y'all can stay standing. I know you're embarrassed. Number 3, Amaya Smith. Number 4, Bailey Brown. Number 5, Mary Smith. Number 7, Sarah Hook. Number 8, Chloe Hill. Number 9, and I practiced this name with her before we did this, Vong Prajan. Sorry.
That's not it. That's not it.
Not it. Number 10, Kaylin Lowe. Number 11, Jasmine Gatewood. Number 12, Izzy Epting. Number 13, Jemiah Joyner, our only senior who is graduating tomorrow night. Number 14, Joelle Thomas. Number 15, Alexa Ferguson. Number 16, Caitlin Shaw. Number 24, Abigail Petrie. Number 25, Lola Benfield. And last but not least, number 27, Callie Hill. The last thing that I would like to say, and I've told the girls this already, but Coach Jones and I were both approached while in Nashville, and I've received a couple of emails since wanting to know information about our girls regarding scholarships in the future. So this is just going to be another avenue for our student athletes to pursue, educational purposes beyond what's going on in their academic pursuits. So, like, it's pretty neat to have a brand new program go to Nashville, play as well as we did, and then have interest from other people to acknowledge that as well.
Yeah.
So I just want to let them know that they did a great job and they deserve everything.
While we're presenting awards and recognition tonight, we have Miss Debbie Kennedy. If she'll come up here. So Mrs. Kennedy is retiring effective June the 30th. She's been with the Shelby County Arlington Community Schools for 23 years. She served in this role in HR. She served as executive assistant to the chief of HR and the executive director and also chief prior to that. So she's spent a long time in HR, and she was here when this district first started. She is one of the first employees. She started off the HR. She laid the groundwork for the Arlington Community Schools Human Resources Department. So she's seen a lot of growth and a lot of changes through her career, and even here at ACS. So we want her to have a wonderful retirement. We're going to have a little retirement celebration for her this Friday, so we're looking forward to that. And Miss Kennedy loves to take cruises, so she'll be able to take cruises when the rates are the cheapest and the rest of us are here at work. So we wish you the very best. I appreciate what you've done for me, Mrs. Walker, and the entire district. So thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you, Debbie. We really appreciate all your work, all your years you devoted to ACS. We're thankful for you. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. And girls, this is fantastic. Year one, there was just talk of you guys a lot. That's what I heard a lot of about flag football. I ended up at the same game that Dr. Clark ended up at that same day that y'all that you played at home. And it's just really cool to watch you play. You're competitive. You were tenacious, which was fun to watch, and I can't wait to see what happens in the years to come for all of you. And our senior, where's my senior girl? There she is. Hey, laying the foundation, girl. That's what I'm talking about. This is built on you, girl. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, it was really, really cool to have you guys here. So thank you for being here with us tonight and letting us just recognize you for what you're going to do, or what you've done. We're going to give you the opportunity to step out if you want to. We're going to start the board meeting now, and the BOARD meeting, and so you won't be BORED. You are welcome to step out if you want to. You're also welcome to stay if you'd like to stay too. So what you must do quickly.
And before you step out, ladies, Mr. Hill wants to make sure he gets a picture.
Yep. If we can all get in front of the podium, coach and y'all gather around the tables. Today is Mr. Bailey. Yeah, so we'll just stretch out here in front of the podium.
Bro, hey, that microphone's on. That microphone's on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Come on, sir. Everyone's down there? All right.
Here we go. 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, Paris, show yours.
All right, Ms. Gore, do we have any citizens' comments? All right, we will move along to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Barnes, a second by Dr. Viox. Any discussion?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to pull one of the items. Let me find it here.
I think it's 7D.
Yeah, 7D. Make a motion to pull 7D for further discussion.
Okay. Dr. Viox has made a motion. We have a motion to remove item 7D, policy 4.301, interscholastic athletics. Do we have a second? I'll actually second that. Any discussion? All right, let's vote on removing it from the consent agenda. All those in favor of removing it from the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. All right, we will, and so now we have the motion to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion around the consent agenda? All those in favor of approving consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Thanks,
All
sir.
right, yes, thank you. We will move that one to, we'll move that to 8F. Wait, no, hang on a second. Let's move that to, can we move that to 8C, A? You want to do it A? Okay, all right, we'll do it A, okay. So we'll move into business recommended items, excuse me. And so 8A will now be the interscholastic athletics, policy 4.301. Will somebody read that, or what is the, I don't remember off the top of my head. Do you have that in front of you?
The what?
Do we have the policy in front of us anywhere?
It's
Yeah,
on
4.301.
here.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can
it's
find it.
on BOE.
I can find it.
So Dr. Dux, you asked to pull that from
Yes.
the consent agenda. You want to talk about that?
Sure. It was a recommended
Actually,
item.
hang on.
Yeah.
I have to have a motion to approve before we discuss this. Yes.
Do you want to just wait till the end, or?
I think I have to have a motion to approve before we actually have a discussion. Is that correct?
Are we going to discuss it at the end, or you want to do it now?
No, we're going to do it now.
Okay,
We're gonna do this
perfect.
AJ. All right, so do I have a motion to approve?
We've got our lawyer is helping us.
Okay. Oh, we got to move to 7 at the end? Sorry.
Start at 6 and then work your way down to.
Oh, Lord, what am I doing? I've jumped past everybody.
Okay.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Get us out of here fast.
I was like, we got to know, enough talking tonight. Sorry, thank you for keeping me back. Let me back up. This Celsius is making me go fast.
I like it.
I knew it was time for me to talk. It's chairman's report. That's what it is. That's what I'm doing up here. All right, chairman's report. Just a couple of things. Chairman's report. I would just like to say Legacy Grant again. We just mentioned Legacy Grant, that we did that with flag football. I know we'll probably talk about Legacy Grant. I don't know if you'll talk about it a little bit more tonight at Tyler Hill or not, but that's just been a really cool thing to watch this entire year, really, that there's so many things and so many different things it seems like that the Legacy Grant has gone to fund, and for it to be able to fund even girls flag football in its inaugural year was really cool to watch them do that. Spring sports was a lot of fun. I don't know if y'all got to get out and see any of those, but our spring teams were just fantastic. I didn't make it to the middle school. We had a middle school team, the middle school baseball team that advanced pretty far. I didn't get a chance to see them play, but our spring teams were just very competitive in all that they did. It made for a lot of fun athletic afternoons and nights. If you didn't get a chance to get out there, I would highly encourage you to do that for sure. I got to participate in 5th grade field day in the dunk tank, and I was the last dunk tank guy. And I was allotted 15 minutes. I think I stayed like 40. And I taunted them greatly as they were trying to throw the ball at me, which they would just run up and hit the thing over and over again. So I spent a lot of time in the water, even though, so that was a lot of fun. But they do a great job with all that as well. And so just kudos as they're ending the year to our teachers and staff. They did yeoman's work they did just really fantastic work this year.
to start the year off in such auspicious circumstances. They really stayed the course and really excelled, and I was just really thankful to watch that happen. I didn't expect anything else out of them, but you never know how stuff like that affects people, and it's really just a really good thing to watch. So I'm very thankful for them. That's all I really have from Chairman's report. We move to Superintendent's report.
Okay, for the superintendent's report, I feel like pictures are worth 1,000 words here, and it's always nice to see that. So, over this past few weeks and this past month, we highlighted the Arlington High School softball field house. We had our ribbon cutting a little less than a week ago, and it was very exciting for our players and our future players that will be coming up. And you see Coach Morgan with his big pair of scissors. He was thrilled. He's won a lot of district and state, and even this past week he made it to a district finals, and we're very proud. They were runner-up in the regionals, and they continued. They played Dixon the other night. Really proud of the strong work that they have done, and so I wanted to highlight about the softball program. Then next, tomorrow night, we honor our seniors. Yay. It'll be an exciting night. That's the class of 2025, and you'll see that they had their signings, they've had their sunset, they have picked up their cap and gowns, a lot of great things. And, just something that I can say that when I went to, we had to move their activities inside on their senior picnic day, and they had a lot of the blow-up, bouncy slides, things of that nature. And one thing I recognize is, wow, we have some really good students. These blow-ups were around them, right? And they're sitting there and they're eating and all, and they walk up, Dr. Clark, can we get on those now? Yeah. And so they didn't just assume, let me get on there and take over. I mean, they all were asking permission. And once on there, they had a great time. And I heard that personally and professionally, that they just had a fabulous time. And I'm so glad, because we always worry about when we have to change something that's different from the previous year. So hats off to Student Council, Miss Kelly and her juniors for making that a wonderful event for our seniors. Then next, we have our student listening sessions. So the last time I reported about our student listening sessions at Arlington High School, we had them at Arlington Middle School, Arlington Elementary, and Donaldson Elementary. Very impressed with the ability of our youngest learner to articulate so well and share what we're doing well, and even share what they could see as tweaks and changes. But out of all that, what came to light is, as we know, they see that the teachers do so much for them as students. They're very gracious of our teachers. They feel like our teachers love and care for them, and that's very important. And they feel our teachers really teach them too. So there's that good balance there between the academics and taking care of them as a person throughout the day. Then let's see. We have our end of the year activities here. So you'll see at the elementary schools, our field day and lots of fun activities. And then also you'll see kind of down the middle, we had Arlington Middle School. They welcome our 5th graders to showcase life as an AMS Tiger. And then Lorelei Klobe over here in the lower left-hand corner, who signs military appointment to West Point Academy. And she's been very impressive, because I attended a recognition that we had at Shelby County Schools. Had to go take me back in time. And she was very impressive in her recognition as well. So we're proud of her and the work that she's accomplished. And then the PAVE Fine Arts Academy recognizes seniors who will be attending college and in the art-related fields. So that was over on the bottom right-hand corner. So we've had a lot of events to highlight and share, and it's been a great last month. Just give you an update on our projections. Our current spring projections, we're at 96% of our projections. And most of you are familiar enough to know they're not going to stop coming. Our high school, we've been a little conservative on our projections, but they've already exceeded those projections by 29 students. So we know that will continue to grow as well. So we're glad to see that with the built out of Lakeland High School, that we're meeting our projections and exceeding that. And that has a lot to attest to the support you've given about the many facilities that we have built and the programs and what the Legacy Grant has funded, because that's what brings people to the district. And we hear that often. I will turn it over to see if anybody on the executive staff needs to make a report. Ms. Walker, HR.
Well, even right before I came out here, I was still changing and making offers for positions. Our principals have been really busy at the school level, interviewing and making recommendations, so we're constantly evolving. But the bulk of our positions right now are classified, the support staff, which is great. We have a few open positions that are still out there. At the high school, we have our JROTC position and a counselor. We're interviewing next week for the gifted teacher. That will be split between Arlington Elementary and Donaldson. And then Ms. Manley has made a recommendation for a PE teacher. And then we're awaiting an interventionist recommendation from Ms. Hawkins. Open enrollment has concluded, and it was a success. They said it was the smoothest they've had so far, so that was great. Testament to Stephanie Moore and Janine for all their hard work. Our attendance rate is at 94%, and other than that, Dr. Clark mentioned projections, which is awesome to hear, and this summer we'll be onboarding our new employees. So June 25th and July 21st in the morning, we'll be doing that, and if you want to stop by, just let me know. I'll turn the floor over to you guys to welcome our new ones. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mr. Goforth? No report. Ms. Douglas? Ms. Speakman? Mrs. Sappinsley? Mr. Hill? And Mr. Ruff just wanted me to share with you that the work with the construction of the football field house is continuing, and they're continuing to work with Memphis Light, Gas, and Water to relocate the main power to the field house. So that's where we are at that.
Mr. Ruff also called me this week and told me that the Gorbachev spot on top of the field house, of the visitor dressing room was now gone.
Oh, that's been a staple for 10
I know,
years.
it is now no longer.
Gorbachev spot.
Have you not seen it? It's terrible.
I'm watching Chernobyl right now. So immediately I'm thinking a red spot. What am I?
There was like
That's a good way.
Yeah,
It was terrible looking.
it was.
For 10 years.
Driven me crazy. It's now gone.
Well, thankful for
Good.
that.
I'm thankful for that.
So that concludes.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. We will move to, we've already covered those, legislative liaison.
Yeah. Okay, so I sent each of you an email with the update for this month, but I'll just highlight some of the things that were on there. And thanks to Ms. Speakman for helping me with this, of course, as always. But the General Assembly convened and on January the 14th, and then they wrapped up on April the 22nd. And so there were over 70, or right at 70 pieces of legislation that impacts K through 12. And we're not going to go through all those, thankfully. But we have more policies that will be rolling across, if you will, our desk in June. But some of those that were the ones that we wanted to highlight for today's purposes were these 4 that we had in this report that I sent you. Now, thankfully, most of the students left because of this first one, which is the wireless communication that was passed by the state. And what's clear about this is that they want to prohibit students using wireless communication devices during instructional time, with some exceptions. And those exceptions are listed here in this report. All this is out in the bill that can be read. But Ms. Speakman is going to be working with our board and in general for our district for the policy for June. She would like to have some feedback, some insight, and there are many ways that you can go about this, and so she would definitely appreciate all of us chiming in and helping her with that. As you can imagine, across the state, a lot of districts are handling this in a variety of ways. Everything from the devices are checked in, and checked out at the end of the day. There's those that do that. They're locked up in some capacity. And then there's some things in between. So we just will need to address that. Ms. Speakman, have I covered that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, without stepping on too many landmines? Okay.
We'll play it again.
Right. So that's that one, and this applies to everything from cell phones to watches, devices of all types. And it's from, if you read the bill, it's messaging where they can message between them and getting away from that. Seems to be the highlight and focused attention on the instruction and the teacher.
Hey, my only question about that
Yeah.
was, do our students have the ability to use their iPads or computers to communicate like text or anything now? They have that, so they don't have that ability at all? Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know since your last two graduated last year, you had to ask, but for me, I was being told this by one of mine the past week as he, and I'm even asked by students at church right now
I'm sure.
what this is going to look like. So, yeah.
Mr. Dunn, there were 17 kids, juniors, rising seniors that were grilling me as I walked out the door about this.
Okay.
And they want to punt till next year when they're gone.
Oh, of course they do.
So
Of course.
I'll be giving
I'll call,
I'll be giving out your number to Jackson.
We'll call the state, see how they handle that. The second one is the Family Rights and Responsibilities Act, and this is one, of course, we had a lot of discussion, even at the TSBA during the meeting where we had there, and I was the target for that one.
Hey, you did a fantastic job, by the way.
It's brutal.
I will
That was
not,
your first one.
yeah, and I won't present again.
Hey, it could get worse than that.
That's
Yeah,
true. It's only
that's
up
true.
from there.
But thankfully, they did seemingly clean up the mess that they created. So the consent forms, all that, will not be needed going into this next school year. So thankful for that. And if you don't recall that, that was everything from the counseling and just providing things such as Band-Aids and just little things
So
that
badly
they
written.
just created a mess with
So-
ambiguous language, things of that sort. The other one was the physical exercise. So for those that are in elementary school, they need 40 minutes of physical activity per school day. At the middle school and the high school, it's 90 minutes of physical activity per school week. So there's going to be some things they have to figure out, I'm sure, logistically, how to make that work. And it does not count walking from class to class. So those steps that they will not have on their watches probably, they will not count.
Scheduling nightmare. Yes.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, I mean, you gotta squeeze all that in, right? At least in today's recommendation, we're gonna have to squeeze in 40 minutes a day of physical exercise on top of the existing day that we already operate in, without going any longer in the day.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't think that legislators have ever
Taught,
totaled up the
yeah.
times
No, they haven't.
No.
for the subjects
They-
and everything
Because they
because it's
mandate,
longer
yeah.
than.
It's longer than the
Day.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last one were the temporary credentials, and hopefully that one made sense. But this is, to my understanding, it's helping us in emergency situations where you need someone that may not be credentialed or certified in certain areas where they can step in with a minimum of an undergraduate degree and be an educator and do that for a period of time. And my understanding is up through June from reading the bill. Is that accurate, Valerie? 1 year, yeah, and it ends in June or so. One academic year ends in June, and then that's how they've positioned that, which is helpful, I think, in situations where you really have a need and you don't have a
It
teacher.
doesn't affect us as much, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of districts that that's really gonna be beneficial
Yeah.
for them.
So that's it, but again, you'll hear more in June as we look at the true policies, because there's going to be a number that we have to look at.
Cool.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Dunn? Thank you, Mr. Dunn.
Well
Appreciate
done.
that. All right, we will move on with the approval of the revised consent agenda.
So
We
moved.
have a motion by Dr. Viak, second by Ms. Conley. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. We will move to business recommended items. Did we decide to move that to 8A, or was I just trying to run to 8A? Okay, now we're where I thought we were 20 minutes ago. All right, so we'll talk about policy 4.301, interscholastic athletics. And Dr. Biaux, you pulled that from the consent agenda, and so we'll just open that up for discussion. You know what, we got to have a motion to approve.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Motion to approve, sir.
Motion by Dr. Biaux for approval. Have a second. Second by Ms. Barnes. Any discussion, Dr. Biot?
So I just, I know these were recommended policy changes by the superintendent, and it's really well written. There was questions about it that I didn't have an opportunity to find out about, and specifically around, obviously, the coaches paying for fines at the TSSAA. Do you want to introduce for the public, and then we'll talk more about it, but I just had a few questions about that.
What this fine is fine that is reflective directly of a coach and how they represent themselves amongst players during a game where they are fined by the referee, the umpire, depending on the game, for their conduct. Now, we don't have that often, but we have had that, and it does require a meeting with the superintendent to go over that. They always reflect, that coach does, and says, yes, I should have bit my tongue because the verbiage they used was not what we as a district, and also what they sign off at the beginning of the year in all their forms that they sign off underneath the coach's conduct. It's also part of our policy in staff ethics, how they should display and handle themselves as well. And the most important part is what they have to remember is they're modeling for their players how their players need to handle themselves, even when you get in situations that you could lose your cool. And we understand that there's times that referees don't always make what we see a fair call. Some are more obvious than others, but even in those circumstances, our goal is to maintain that composure and that professionalism. So this is a fine. It runs, if I'm not mistaken, around $500. So we were thinking, you know, that's a fine that they created. It isn't like a fine that another player or something that happened that they don't have direct control over. So we didn't see that was, or I felt that way, and then reading all the policies and what they signed off in the beginning and reflecting on the situations we've had over the few years, that it's something that shouldn't have taken place and the district shouldn't be responsible for that.
Were you done? I just had a question about that too.
No, you please go ahead. I can tell you why I wanted it off there, but you.
Yeah. So is that is it more verbiage like if I'm a coach and I'm defending my team or my player and I'm angry about something that's happened in the game or whatever, and I'm speaking to the referee, umpire, whoever it is, and I vehemently disagree with the referee or umpire. Is this about verbiage in them calling the referee something like a name or cursing at the referee?
More
or
using foul language
Okay.
that's not appropriate. I have seen many coaches get in discussions with attending all the games I've attended in my career, and even recently, that, you know, they get very passionate about it in defending their team. I understand that. I've never seen that a coach gets fined for that. Typically is when that language gets way out of line.
Okay.
Use of language is just flat out not appropriate, and it continues to escalate.
Is there an
To that.
appeal that they can appeal this when these types of decisions are made?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, they could, there's one part they could appeal, but when it comes to this level and the type of language, I can recall 2 in the past 3 years, and it's pretty aggressive type
Yeah.
language.
Okay.
Well, and the appeals are a waste of time. TSSAA
They-
is not going to.
you have to-
They won't overturn one of their.
And I know that
They just won't.
when I spoke to a coach, he said, you know, I get what I did wrong, my actions were wrong, and he wasn't dismissing his actions, and he said he apologized to the team and the players because he felt like, reflecting back, that wasn't appropriate behavior. And I was quite shocked that it was that coach, I'll be honest with you. There was a piece about the call that he wanted to appeal, and I said, we always need to think about what kind of light can that put the district on. Is it worth something to appeal that isn't going to come back at us? As Dr. Viox mentioned, most time the appeals don't substantiate in something, and it could cause us more grief to the district, but in the end, who has to suffer that? And it's our children.
Yeah.
I'm asking, of course, not seeing that, but seeing student athletes, that there's been some questionable things where they get suspended for this or that act, and I'm sitting here watching it, and they appeal and it's still upheld, and I feel like that was not right.
Yeah,
Somewhere,
well-
could there be a situation if a coach were to have some words with a ref or an umpire or whatever, and we possibly have someone and we just back our coach and say, hey, there were enough people that witnessed this event, that there's two sides to this, and it didn't maybe go to the level that what you're mentioning, where it's
Yes.
just completely out of bounds.
Right.
Is there a level, versus this is it, it's done, and the coach pays?
That's what the TSSA is gonna tell you. They're not gonna,
Yeah.
if you get fined by them, it's a punitive organization, to Dr. Clark's point. And I'll take it a step further. I was here for all those incidences that happened, and, I'm gonna be very careful here how I say this, but, it was basically that if you continue to appeal this, then the punishment's gonna be this. It's almost like carrot stick. It's like, let this go, or we're gonna make it worse for you. And I'm not their biggest fan, so I wanna leave it at that. But I think my issue with this is asking the coaches, in a time of passion, to pay a $500 fine is, I guess, what I have a problem with. Certainly if they put their hands on an official, or if they carry it to a certain level, I feel like, personally, that we have HR ways that we can deal with that, coach and things like that. $500 is a lot of money, especially to a coach that's on a stipend, and I would hate to think that it would negatively impact the way they coach the kids, or they would let something slide and not stand up for them with the fear of this. I thought it would a little more discussion. And I was an athlete, and I know Mr. Benjamin there was, and even in college, and we had some passionate coaches. I'm going to leave it at that. But I don't know. I would love to hear everybody else's thoughts. That's why I pulled it. I wanted further discussion and see where we are with the coaches having to pay this fine, and if there could be something like, well, if you did it once, because I don't think either of those other coaches ever had any problems after the original infraction. Like, once, I think they were at least in one of the cases, sufficiently embarrassed, and I don't think it would ever be an issue again.
Well, my recollection, I wasn't the superintendent, I was with HR at the time and helping with the athletics, is the language that was used. And it always
It
seems
was
to
bad.
be, if
Yeah.
you hit that level of the language, that's been my experience. And so looking at the district and what we expect out of our employees and role models and things, they hit that level. I mean, I don't ever mind evaluating it further so we can see it from there. I understand where your point could be. I just haven't experienced, I've seen the coaches be passionate and be activists for their students, their players. I've seen that, and I've seen them get in the heat. Usually the ref, they give them a warning, coach, and then we can be around to say, "Me, hold back. It just isn't worth it." But this kept escalating, and I was surprised that this type of language was used, and that's usually a sure thing when you use that level of language. That's just been my experience.
Yeah, there's
But it's fine.
There's good pastors, bad pastors. There's good doctors, bad doctors. There's good referees, bad referees.
Is he saying one was good, one
I was looking. These are the good ones.
Is this as good as bad?
These are the good ones. No, but referees, and they're getting younger, and they're all hotheads too. I don't know. I think the only issue I have with this is forcing the coaches to pay that $500 fine, and I think obviously if it continues to happen, that's more of a why are they here kind of a problem, as opposed to I think there's other ways that we invite them to seek employment other places.
May I say?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please.
Sometimes you gotta hit that pocketbook in order
It's
to
true.
get
You're not
somebody's
wrong.
attention.
You're not
And these are our children. Hopefully they don't hear things like that at home. And certainly we don't want them hearing that, in their athletic program. So,
So is there could we sit with our coaches and go, hey, if you drop this bomb at a referee, then bro, you're just gonna have to pay the money. Or is that a subjective thing with the referee?
It would get to that point when the coach is fined, then it would get to the point you're skating on the policy because of what the policy says.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's been few. We just didn't want it to continue.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
and
makes
think,
sense.
okay, the district will cover it. I can say whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we just wanted to make sure, and I did, that it didn't become a reoccurring thing because put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. Again, I haven't had that experience of them just slapping these fines on them, and I've seen the coaches engage in passionate conversation. I even saw Coach Jones engage and Coach Fox at the state for flag football engage into some conversations with the reps on that. But no penalties or nothing of that nature. So but it's always something that we can evaluate and look at further. We can look at looking at it from an HR standpoint.
Well,
We
can
wanna
I
do
ask
that.
Ms. Speakman, is there a way that we could say on this that, without getting into a bunch of trouble, is there a way we can evaluate case by case, or no? Or is it just, you're paying the 500, that's it?
No, I mean, you could put some language, we could look at some alternative language that said, particular types of conduct, would warrant them paying their own fine, if it was physical or if it was, using a
Well, certainly
profane
physical,
word.
yeah, for sure.
Those would be two things, so it's not just throwing your hat down and charging the umpire, which frankly, I might have done when I was a coach before. But in any event, though, but certainly we could alter the language to, have some carve-outs. If it were just something like, we'll be the ones who decide.
Right, that's what you can't do.
That's
It needs to be very
troublesome.
specific.
Yes.
But that's workable, though, right? Like we
The
could
other is
say,
workable, that
yeah.
if you could decide what conduct it is in particular that you want to.
Well, it's not just, I mean,
avoid.
obviously, if I bow to the will of the board, so if everybody's in favor of it as is, like, I'm all for it.
I will say, I think it's been, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 years. That's relatively new language that's in our policy anyway about the ethics, because the General Assembly required that we put that in the policy that specifically talks about, conduct, and I think it even uses profanity as an example of what you're not supposed to do. There are different ways of handling it. As you said, we can, tell people go find another job. We can tell somebody, because you can remove somebody from their coaching job without taking away their tenure. So you can also, put a write-up in their file. There are all kinds of different things that, different approaches. So,
Valerie, if I can.
Yes, sir.
So the $500 to me doesn't bother me as far as the stick, if you want to call it that. To me, it's the subjectivity possibly that you have a situation and it's relative somewhat. Now, there's some, I think the majority of us would agree, you cross this line, it's over.
Right.
But I'm just wondering if the penalty would be 500. Okay, fine. But there is something in the language that if this were to occur, and there is something that's been reported, a fine has been issued, that we're able to review that and hear from the coach as well. And is that creating, did you say earlier, that creates a mess trying to?
I think that would create a bit of a challenge because, if I were the coach, I'd say, well, the reason I did it is because, that sacrificed our chance to go in at state. And so
Well, I mean,
just
if they cross the
saw
threshold,
red.
they may claim I did not do what he said I did.
Right. I mean, if it's a clear, I didn't do it versus
Yeah,
I
he
did
said
do
I
it,
said this.
then
I did not say that. I promise you I didn't say that.
Certainly, that's something that, we could, work
That's
with
all
some
I'm asking.
language and that sort of thing.
Why don't we take that and let's, I'm not exactly sure what the next step is to do this, but how about we can we table that? Is there, how do we do that?
Rather than tabling it, I would suggest that maybe the easiest thing to do is just withdraw it right now, and
Okay.
then that way we can bring it back at any time.
Okay.
If we table it, then you've got to vote to take it
Bring it
from
off
the
the table,
table
yeah,
and
yeah,
all that
okay.
kind of thing, so.
And I
Okay.
want to say too, fundamentally, I agree with everything that is written. I think that we can't have coaches
Right.
acting like that. We
Agreed.
certainly can't have that kind of behavior in front of students, but I guess to Mr. Dunn's point, he probably articulated better. I'm worried about the subjectivity of those fines.
I mean, one half step might be, recidivism. If you do it more than one time
Well,
in your
I
career,
think-
because I believe that actually has happened. I think there was a coach who's no longer here who was a recidivist swearer. And maybe we got more than one fine from that person.
I'll be
They
honest,
all
that's kind
coached
of where,
me
that's kind of where my head was. Like, if you legitimately, you've been a good coach for all these years and you make one mistake, then, maybe we got you. But if it happens again, not only are you paying the fine, but also we've got to look at your code of
Yeah.
ethics that you signed prior to the season. So I don't, whatever the board wants to do,
Yeah, I
I
think-
wanted to hear more about this is all.
I think there's some work to be done here, just for some maybe deeper explanations to kind of answer some of all of our questions. And so we'll, I guess.
Well,
will
I'll make
you
a,
with- Well,
I'll make a
okay.
motion to withdraw.
Okay. Can he make that motion since it's
Yes.
her recommendation?
She
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
get to vote, so it has to
Okay,
be
yeah,
one of
okay.
you, so.
So, motion to withdraw by Dr. Biox. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Dunn. Any discussion?
I think this, what we all said were valid.
Yeah.
I think we can just polish this. You get where I'm coming from
I do.
on this deal, and so
I do. And we
bring it
can,
right back in.
we'll bring something
yeah.
back to you, and I'll visit with Dr. Clark.
That's
Maybe there's some
perfect.
half step this first time, and then if that doesn't work, then we go back to the, this version.
Yeah, I think we're all in favor of
100%.
that not happening, but how do we cover it better? All right, all in favor, say of
Withdraw.
withdrawing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to withdraw passes. All right, we will move on to what was originally 8A, which is now 8B. Dr. Clark.
Okay, there's a recommendation to renew the SKB cleaning services contract for a period of 10 months. That's from July 1, 2025 through April the 30th, 2026, at the rate of $112,521.49 per month, less non-performance penalties, if any, and allow the superintendent the authority to negotiate the terms of the parties' agreement.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Conley,
Second.
second by Ms. Barnes. Any discussion?
You've been happy, Dr. Clark?
We have. I know that I met with Mr. Ruff last week and discussed this, and I did share with him, I wanted to make sure that he does mention at the principals meeting and reminds the principals to make sure that they let him be aware, but also I wanted him to really make sure that he's visiting that monthly checklist and taking a check through the buildings, because I want to make sure that we have the data to support penalties or no penalties, especially moving into the next year.
And they've been responsive when you've had issues?
They have been responsive when we've had issues at the different schools. That has not been a concern at all.
Yeah, as the husband of a teacher, early on, there were some issues with trash and things like that not being taken out, some floors that were not clean, but I think those got addressed pretty quickly.
I think
And
it's
I
an
didn't hear anything
ongoing.
else. I really
that
didn't hear
we-
anything else from second grade at that point anyway. But it could be, obviously, it could have been other issues, but at least what I had heard in the beginning, that they addressed that. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. We'll move ahead to 8C, what was 8B, Dr. Clark.
Okay, so recommendation award the RFQ for Arlington High School partial re-roofing project. That's FY 25-1002 ITB to ARC Roofing, and approve the contract for same at the total base lump sum cost of $804,849. We did have 7 vendors come when they did the walkthrough. 2 put a bid on it, and Arc Roofing is here tonight. So if you have any particular questions that you'd like to ask them, I know that Danny, correct, met you before. He will be happy to answer any questions that you would have about that.
Okay, let's get a motion on the floor, and then we'll talk about discussion with him. Do I have a
Mr. Chairman,
motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Dr. Biatz, second by Ms. Conley. Any discussion? I'd love to hear from you guys just for a moment about doing this. Can one of you come and tell us a little bit about? Yep, or both? Everybody.
I've met with y'all once before, but this is Gary. I don't think y'all met him, so. Y'all's concerns? We did the same thing, I think, last summer.
This goes very similar to what we did last year, so we're very confident we can do a proper job and much like we did last year for you. So, in a very short
I
amount
think
of time.
last year we did a little bit of paint and drywall work on the inside of the school as well. This year is just roofing, I think, so far.
What was the scope of your work last year?
The office area and the
Gym, it's a little bigger, I think, than this year.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
And this covers which part again?
we don't know. Mike.
This covers the gym, the middle area on the top, above the library, and in the back cafe, or is that the first round and then the second?
Yeah,
'Cause I
the
know
main one it
front
don't
is
cover is the
gym.
line with all the air conditioners. They didn't
Right.
get it. The rest, I think, is done.
Yeah, because I knew it was the gym, and then he said that middle, which would be the second floor, where the social studies, science, foreign language.
Yeah.
That's first part in the library area there. And then also, I think that there'll be a second round, not this round, that for
To do the other.
the cafe and that CTE where district office used to be.
Oh, yeah.
They're similar in size from last year, pretty close.
Okay.
Except the only reason they're different in the price is no waterproofing of the bricks and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind
the
of,
square footage is very similar.
square footage is very similar.
What's the warranty on your work?
It's a 20-year manufacturer's warranty.
Okay.
And along with a workmanship warranty.
And what's
That's
the,
pretty standard.
yeah, what's the time frame for install?
About a month,
Yeah, well,
yeah. Gonna-
Because y'all, July 1 to August 1
Yes, ma'am.
is what he denoted here.
Quick.
I mean, we did it last year, same time. The only thing is sometime maybe it lingers a little on the metal, but,
Yeah.
replacing the metal. But, and that could change with the weather, but
Yeah,
I
sure.
know
Yeah.
you never can control that. But
Yeah.
we work out here so much, I think we're okay with,
Yeah.
we do quite a bit out here. so.
Yeah, for sure. We appreciate that.
And we do a lot of schools. Right, doing all the schools in Covington, we're doing the new Pope in Jackson. I mean, we do. There's not a lot of companies can perform that type of work in that quick of amount of time. It'd
Yeah.
take you.
Okay.
And then in your information that you've received, they have presented some detailed diagrams, drawings, shaded the areas along with pictures
Yeah.
for the work that they'll be doing.
We apologize, we didn't bring our plans.
It's all right.
We don't know your schools quite as well, by name anyway.
Good. Any other questions? Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. We will now move to item 8D, what was formerly 8C. Dr. Clark.
Okay, so tonight I'm requesting approval of the proposed 2025-2026 budget. I do have some information to share.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Ms. Barnes, second by Ms. Conley. Any discussion? Dr. Clark?
Ms. Speakman.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, they rearranged them.
oh, yeah, I thought, yeah, sorry. Yeah, IDEA, I thought that was where we were going.
I was looking at my other notes.
Yeah, I
apologize.
said it's 8C, which is now 8D, but it's actually 8C on
Okay.
your, sorry to confuse you there, Dr. Clark.
It's okay.
Welcome to my world over here tonight.
We have had a lot go on tonight.
Yes,
A lot
we
of
have.
great things.
Let's,
More
do I
come.
need to withdraw this motion now that it's on the floor? We actually did have a second.
We did.
Okay,
So it didn't happen.
so it doesn't count. Cool. You didn't hear anything.
You hear anything?
All right, let's roll on. We'll have the motion already on the floor for next time. All right. Let's do this properly. Approval for IDEA, ESEA federal funds allocations 25-26.
Correct.
Yes.
And this is just a standard yearly that we do at this time, you know, and this is part of the budget that when I met with you individually to talk about that at one time, we didn't know what funding we're going to receive, and now they've given us some funding to begin, and we won't know what all of our funding is until September or October. So this is approval for those funds to allocate to 2025-2026.
Okay. You've heard the explanation. Do I have a motion to approve this, what was 8C, which is now 8D? Motion.
Second.
By Mr. Dunn, second by Mr. Viox. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. All right,
Okay.
good. Now we'll move to what was 8D, which is now 8E, approval of the proposed 25-26 budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Barnes,
Second.
second by Dr. Viox. Any discussion? Dr. Clark?
Yes. So you will recall, I think it was beginning of May, time flies, that I shared with all of you as well as all of the employees in the district the budget highlights and also a budget webpage that was developed as part of showcasing what the budget will consist of. I'm not going to play the video after tonight. The video and the webpage that we've created for the budget will be on the district webpage. That way, any parents, any stakeholders, they can come here and they can view this video as well as what we refer to as want to dive deeper. So we felt like this is a way because the video gives some highlights, and then if someone wants to know a little bit more details and beyond, this is the place that they can obtain those.
By the way, great job on the video. It really was.
Thank you.
I was complimenting her before, but if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's great. It really showcases, I think, our budget, our schools, I think really, really well.
I had to get some students to become actors and actresses because I felt
They did
like
great.
I told Tyler, we saw some students walk by in the hallway and we had to get them out of the hallway. I was like, no, we need them part of this video because this is what it's all about. So we started doing that from school to school, trying to get some students involved in it. And it was great. I mean, from our youngest learners, pre-K, all the way up to high school and seniors.
They were good NPCs.
They were awesome, as always. So as you'll recall, last year, the state designated by 2026 that the minimum salary for teachers is $52,000. Well, that was already done. You voted on that last year. And so with that, another item that was done is across the board with our salary schedule, there was various percents as you move from one step to another. So we were able to level that out last year, and you proved to that, where it's a consistent 2%. And with that, what happened last year for FY25 is some people got up to a 10% raise for most of the employees and the benefit there. So looking at this year for 2025-2026, proposing the national cost of living is 2.5%. So we're staying in step with that, and then a step increase. So essentially, you're looking at employees receiving a 4.5% increase in their salary. That will also continue. What's being proposed is a Christmas bonus. That's for certified employees, $1,000 for classified full-time employees. That's $800, and we're still going to do the what was formerly known as Mental Health Day is like an extra personal day is the way it's treated, and it's rebranded to the name TLC, Tender Loving Care. It's a personal day because all of us need to pause, rest, and reset. Another item here that I really have felt like this was essential. It's part of the work I've done in the school and what I see and how important this group is to our students is our teacher assistants and special education assistants. Always through HR, I would see their qualifications. The minimum qualification for a SPED assistant or a teacher assistant to even be considered for a position is they have to have an associate's degree or 60 college credited hours, which is equivalent to an associate's degree, or they have to take a national test that's a paraprofessional type assessment. That's the minimum. But what I notice is they're looking at their files and the auditing process that we go through with our special education is that we have a large group of employees in this area who they have 4-year degrees. They have bachelor's degrees. And I've seen that in the work they do as well with the students. And just to kind of share with you how many we have 52 SPED and educational assistants in our district. 24 of those have a bachelor's degree, which is 46%. And so what happens is their hourly rate, wherever they are now, if they step up and onto that salary schedule because they have a bachelor's degree, they're going to look at a 28% increase to that hourly rate. And really, that's in line with our other salary schedules because a teacher, their minimum qualification naturally is a license, but a bachelor's. But if they earn a master's and so on and so forth, we give them a salary increase for investing in their education and really developing in that area. Same way with our nurses. Our salary schedule is reflective of that as well. So a lot of our salary schedules outside of administration are reflective of that. So we just felt like, and this is just something that was in me. I'm like, why can't we do this? And so I would appreciate you voting for the budget and honoring this group of employees because I feel it's very important. And I've had employees in this area reach out and, you know, it just happens, life happens, and that's why they didn't really use that bachelor's degree, but they're so committed and proud to work for our district. They just appreciate the recognition that this would bring for them and having that advanced degree for the position that they hold. So our benefits, I'm one of the 3 superintendents that serve on our health trust board, and in that board I serve as the secretary. And within that, we really hold accountability to our trust and Cheryl Morgan and MedBen, and we really push on, yes, Nyhart, you may recommend that we do this increase, but how much money do we have in our fund balance and how much anticipated cost do we have, and do we really need to give an increase for the sake of giving an increase? Because we're always considering and thinking about the employee, and that because if with the budget approval, you're looking at a 4.5% increase with their step and COLA, and then how much will benefits take? Nothing. So this year, that's a 0% increase, and there is the trend of the trust and our benefits over the past few years, and you'll see our trust is in a very stable position, and that's why we're analyzing it carefully, and other superintendents with me on that. That's our goal, is to keep it solid and firm for our employees. There also shows a lot of advantages that our plan does offer to our employees, and I've had them when I was in HR, you know, they shared, well, the main reason that position may not pay a lot, but your benefits is what I need for my family. Yeah. So we're glad that we can offer those benefits. Academic investments, Orton Gillingham came from elementary. Now we all know I'm not from elementary world, but I heard so much about OG. I thought I better know about OG and the value it is. So we have our teachers, this is being offered to them, K through 5, a summer training, something that they have asked for quite some time, and it's develop effective interventions for students with the dyslexia. Along with that, our advanced placement courses, our AP courses at the high school. We have teachers that teach that, and also they simultaneously teach our honors and our dual enrollment classes. This is something that students from the student session, I had lunch with superintendent, students at the high school was talking about the resources can quickly be dated, especially in the history area. And so Mr. Goforth and his team in the academics, we were able to provide those resources, but what came about is training. It's very important that we keep the training current to that level of AP because those students do take those exams, and it just spills over into our honors programs as well as our dual enrollment, is really making sure our teachers have deep professional development in these advanced areas to provide that continuous rigor. Our assistant principal, we did have someone at district office that would help with the dyslexia, and which is a requirement from the state. Well, now we're pushing that position between the two elementary schools. This is something the principals requested, and I felt like the large majority of dyslexia interventions and that process takes place at the elementary school, so we could provide them support and that strategic in that area as well. There's other areas you'll see highlighted for our academics instruction there. I just focused on just the highlights, but one thing I know we're all proud about is the $500,000 Legacy Grant Program. So we'll continue to have that with approval of this budget. And I think tonight we've seen how important that is, and at our board meetings that we've had. Another development here is just last year we finished the $8.5 million fine arts expansion. So this year we'll be putting $250,000 into our fine arts program. And you'll see the breakdown of that on our webpage. It really shows how we're supporting those programs, because we got instrument repair, we got instrument replacement. That's all at the direction of the directors, because they know best which instruments need to be replaced. Just like in our high school band, Legacy Grant provided about $21,000. You approved a budget transfer last month, so there's about $22,000 we could provide for them on instrument, and then we'll have the remaining $40,000. So that'll be a little over $80,000 that's going to be put into our high school band to replace instruments, things of that nature, and that's at the direction of Mr. Simpson, because he knows best.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. And then you'll see the supplies, as we've mentioned, over the course of the past year. Travel is so expensive now. That's where that Legacy Grant has really helped tremendously, but also these funds will help our fine arts, because, you know, our students can do great things here, but honestly, they need to be able to go out and showcase that. And with these funds, that helps to ensure all students have that opportunity, and that cost does not fall back on the parents to make sure that happens and their students are part of those programs. You'll see visual arts supplies. Also, we haven't forgotten about the Arlington Middle School, or even our youngest learners as well, for including their repairs, equipment, and supplies for music and visual arts. And then the continued, we've always had this here, the $75,000 for our AHS TV and film program. That includes equipment, the software, the production, the fees, and the recurring costs. So we'll continue that. That's something that's been there, but that will be something that will continue to take place there. For flag football girls. Campus and safety improvements, the welding lab remodel, the upgrade for the locker rooms. We took a deep walk into that and looked at that, because with our upgrades in our building of our softball and, you know, our indoor field house, and then our football field house, you go back over here in the older part of the building now, and you're looking at basketball, you're looking at wrestling, you're looking at volleyball. There's some upgrades that need to take place there. So we'll be doing that in the locker rooms of those areas. Also, it'll be a multi-year project. We'll begin some of it now, the projection system and the basketball and the parking lot entrance with the concession stand relocation and the gym floor. So that will be multi-year project. Again, the HVAC upgrades, replacing and updating security cameras, and then, of course, Mr. Benjamin's video with the Tiger football field house.
Should we watch that?
It was pretty good.
I know, he did very well. Very well.
Tyler's a master.
So Tyler does a lot of great things, doesn't he? So did you know, we felt like this was something that there's a lot behind the scenes on the budget, but how much does people really know where do we get our money from? What percentage? How much are we supported? So if you look at it, 41% of Arlington Community Schools budget, and this one's proposing about $62 million, 41% of that is from the state, the TISA funding formula. 32% comes from Shelby County taxes, and then 2% comes from right here in the town of Arlington. So there's a percentage of that, 25%, that is pulled from rental as well as our fund balance. Just to note with our fund balance is we have used our fund balance to balance our budget, but we've never had to go into our fund balance because when you look at that and consider that, we budget very aggressively on all of our departments and all of our projects. So it puts us in a position that we don't have to use any of that fund balance. And we've never had to go into our fund balance yet. And since FY16, each year we've either been able to put 1.5 million up to 6.2 million a year into our fund balance. 2 years we did have around 6.2 million that went into our fund balance. When you look at that over time, that's how we have built a strong fund balance. The ESSER is the time period from FY 21, 22, and 23. That's where we're able to build the largest amount. And in that 3-year period, we're able to build $12 million into our fund balance. So we're in a really good, healthy state. I know the auditors last year came. They spoke about that. They spoke, I think we were like at 72% when other municipalities in comparison was at 42%. So we're in a really good position there. And I just want to share that, what I think was very important, because that is what allows us, if we did go in our fund balance, if you look around at the project, softball field house, football field house, the fine arts expansion, us able to put in this and also still value our employees, because given steps, given those cost of living raises, giving those bonuses, honoring our SPED and teacher assistants, it costs money. And so that's what can make that budget rise. But we've been fortunate the way the money's been handled up to this point that we can still do that. Another thing that I thought was interesting, 65% of our total expenditures are on our employees, the benefits and their pay. And out of that 65%, 88% of that is at the school level. So only 12% is here at district office. And even as a leader, I believe that we are support for the schools and visibility in the schools and supporting the principals in that curriculum. That's where we need to be, and that's where they are. They're out there more than I see them here, and that's a great thing. But only 12% is here. 88% of the 65% is at the school. And then I mentioned here about the capital improvements, and we have lots of videos about that, but approximately 16% of our spending is coming from our capital improvements for this upcoming FY26. So that's where I've covered most of it, and if there's anything, outside of the 65% of expenditures for employees and their benefits, outside of that's our largest expense. The rest of it is about instructional student support from the classroom materials, textbooks, technology, fine arts programming, and initiatives like the Legacy Grant. Any questions about any of those?
I only have a question. So this audit team that came in and audited our budget and our fund balance and how we spend our money and all the things like that, they were pleased in our financial standing. Is that what?
Yes, they were overly pleased. I can send you that video that we had from last year to highlight that. And that's really helpful in looking at that to just jog our memory about the type of state that we're in at this point.
And so the auditors that deal with this all the time, that like this is what they do, is go in and check people's fund balances and versus what they expend, and like this is their job, and this is what they do as a profession, and this is how they look at all the time, and this is what they do all the time. They seem to think that we're in a good, healthy place with our fund balance at this point. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's what they said. I know they compared us to 5 other municipal districts. And in comparison to the number of students we serve in our budget is the comparison that they made. And if I recall correctly, wasn't it like 40% or maybe 32% of other school districts, and we're like at 70-something percent?
Cash on hand, which is the fund balance compared to our expenditures.
Now, they did say, you know, of course, with the build-out of Lakeland, you know, that's something to monitor as moving forward, but that's, you know, in our capital improvement projects, I think is a very important note to make. And if you look at our plan for our capital improvement projects, we're getting close to, we gotta stop and we gotta get in maintenance mode.
Yeah.
And what our plans are, it's indicative of that. You'll see, like, outside of what I've shared with the basketball, the multi-year project, I mean, it's gonna get to the point, it's blank. And
Yeah.
you see the blanks on the capital improvement project plan that I shared with you.
And so because of it getting a bit leaner and we having to, you know, we're kind of coming to the end of capital projects and things like that, and because of Lakeland, you know, having their full school system, it is wise for us. Would you agree, Dr.
That
Clark,
is very
it is
wise
for
for
us to
us.
have a good, healthy fund balance at this point?
Right.
And that's what the professional auditors said.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And I think what's
Appreciate that clarity.
important is that if we were to go on our fund balance, it is not for reoccurring costs.
Right.
It is
Right.
for capital improvement projects
Yeah.
because our reoccurring costs are our employee salaries, as I've highlighted, giving them the steps, the cost of living, the bonuses, things that we want to do to take care of our employees and honor their hard work.
Yeah, good.
Well, I
Appreciate
will
that.
say too, that that's been the vision from all the previous superintendents, from all the previous boards. We have always been 3, 5, 7 years ahead of our capital improvement project. We built all of these things in anticipation of getting us to this point. And for all those that came before and all those that'll come after, kudos to everyone that's had a hand in that process to look at the type of fund balance that we have here. There are districts across here that every single year turn in a negative budget, that funding has to come from somewhere. And upwards of $3 and $4 and $5 million deficits. Every year they bring their funding body. And we've never done that. We consistently remain the highest in the state of Tennessee as far as teacher pay, which is something that I'm very proud of and everyone else should be as well. But the amount of thinking that goes into this from everybody from this board to the district level to the teachers being a part of it has been nothing short of amazing. Now, ESSER did a lot of good, and it padded a lot of, but a lot of places didn't use that money really effectively, and I feel like we did. And so all I can say is kudos. When we started this thing, we never expected to be here. Even as long as Mr. Benjamin's been on, we never could have imagined being in this spot, but it's through the thoughtful provocation and through looking at all of these funds and always 100% of the time bringing a balanced budget to our funding body. And in reality, never asking. One year we asked for a little bit of help funding the building fees, but we've never asked for anything over the town's bare maintenance of effort, which is really a testament to the good use of funds. So kudos to that and being able to continue to hold our employees up. That's just, it's really spectacular to be able to do everything you want. So, well done.
One thing I'll note, and I was just thinking of this, hearing Mr. Benjamin and Mr. Viock speak to this. Some folks, when they get bored, they like to just do stuff, spend money, do those projects. And this happens a lot around homes and things of that nature. But what I like about what we've done, everything's been intentional.
Yes.
So every decision's been made through our investments in the school district is we're not doing it because we're bored. We're doing it for growth. We're doing it for this community. We're doing it for this community's growth in the future. This district's going to continue to grow as more families settle in here, the future generation, the future kids. And so I think big picture is important, that we're investing wisely in all of these areas. And as you said, Dr. Clark, it's important that we're almost finished in the sense, at least with what we currently have. Now, down the road, yeah. But down the road, as we continue to grow as a community with more and more children running around, then we'll have that other challenge. But for now, I love the plan, and I think it's been intentional, and that's what I'm grateful for. And it's good.
I just want to say something too. You can see from the investments that we have made as far as the improvements and everything else we've done around the district, how it's paid off with our students. Because every day we're hearing from the principals or a parent or somebody, their child did so-and-so in the state or this and that and the other. And it's wonderful. And it's so great to be a part of a board that we can work with our community and our faculty and staff and students to make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, love that. All right, any other questions, comments for Dr. Clark? All right, all those in favor of approving the proposed 25-26 budget, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. Item 8E, which has now become item 8F. I'll take this one. Recommendation to award a performance bonus to Dr. Allison Clark. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Conley, and a second by Ms. Barnes. We have, there is details in your packet about that, and so, any discussion about that?
Well deserved.
Yes.
Thank
Well
you.
earned.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Clark.
Other
Appreciate
than
the
you're
work.
thrilled to death and happy to work with you.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, very thankful for you, Dr. Clark. All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. And, whew, we're adjourned. These kids are like, yes!
Finally.
They're like, get us out.